Hacking the genetic code. This is SkyWatchTV News for Tuesday, July 21st of 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. There's an ongoing drive in certain sectors of the scientific community to try to improve upon God's obviously flawed and inadequate design. Chemist Stephen Benner at the Foundation for Applied Molecular Evolution, or FAME, has added 2 new synthetic nucleotides to the familiar GATC that comprise the building blocks of DNA. Benner's team created artificially enhanced DNA that includes the new nucleotides P and Z. According to the team, the synthetic nucleotides fit seamlessly into DNA's helical structure, and DNA sequences with these nucleotides can evolve like traditional DNA. And this is a first. This is really quite a scientific achievement. And it appears that the 6-nucleotide DNA actually outperforms the old model in certain situations. For example, it was better at selectively binding to cancer cells, and there are some practical applications as well. This 6-nucleotide DNA has helped medical researchers develop diagnostic tests for HIV and other diseases. The primary job of DNA, of course, is to store information, and our 4-nucleotide DNA encodes for 20 different amino acids, which then combine amongst themselves to form millions of different proteins. 6-nucleotide DNA could potentially combine to form as many as 216 different amino acids, which then would obviously form many, many more millions of proteins. The mind reels at the possibilities. But maybe there's a reason God limited nature to 4 nucleotides. While 6 could encode for more amino acids and more proteins, it could also make it easier for errors to enter genetic code. Benner and his team hope to develop an alternate genetic system which makes proteins completely unnecessary. They're working on developing as many as 10 or 12 nucleotides and then introducing this new genetic alphabet into living cells. This is research that bears watching. In the world of geopolitics, homicide bombers, which is a more accurate term, have killed hundreds in the Middle East here in recent days. 31 are dead in southern Turkey, mostly Kurdish students in the town of Suruk, about 6 miles from the Kurdish town of Kobani, which is just across the border in Syria, where Kurdish forces have been fighting off the Islamic State since last October. The bombing in Suruk was blamed on the Islamic State, but remember that Turkey has been secretly arming the Islamic State, and they have a very strong desire to prevent the formation of an independent Kurdish state, an independent Kurdistan, on its border with Syria. In Iraq, 115 people died in a town there, lured to a truck bomb by an Islamic State jihadist who promised a discount on the several tons of ice that he was hauling in his truck. Sadly, he was also hauling several thousand pounds of explosives beneath the ice, which he detonated once he drew a crowd. This is typical of the brutality of the Islamic State, which I am fully aware was a creation out of the old Al-Qaeda in Iraq, created by Western intelligence agencies for the purpose of overthrowing the government in Syria. But that does not mean the Islamic State isn't killing people, destroying ancient Christian communities, ancient Yazidi communities in Iraq and Syria. And this type of brutality will be typical of the world in the years to come, especially during the reign of the one we call the Antichrist. A report from Turkey says that the Islamic State is actually re-educating children captured in Syria and Iraq and training them to behead infidels by training and practicing on dolls. The Associated Press reports that young boys captured by the Islamic State from Yazidi villages in northern Iraq have been taken to camps, forced to convert from their ancient Yazidi faith, which is a unique faith. It's one that worships a being called the peacock angel named Melek Taus, which based on his story is apparently the fallen angel that Christians know as Satan or Lucifer, but that's for another story. Older Yazidi men in these villages slaughtered by the Islamic State, women and girls sold into sex slavery, the boys taken to camps for re-education, training to become soldiers for the Islamic State. Last week, a video was posted to the internet that apparently shows a preteen boy, a boy of about 12 or 13, beheading a Syrian army captain in Palmyra. I point you to Revelation 20, verse 4, where John writes, "And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years." It is possible that these youth camps of the Islamic State are currently training those who in years to come will behead those that return to reign with Christ during the millennium. But at the very least, they're displaying the type of brutality the world will know when the Antichrist comes to power. Elsewhere in the Middle East, Israeli officials are upset by small print in the nuclear deal signed with Iran last week. The clause specifies that the U.S. and its allies will train Iranians on how to defend against sabotage, such as the Stuxnet virus that infected Iranian computers at nuclear facilities back in 2010. The Stuxnet virus attributed to Israel and the United States, with Iran soon deploying its version of Russia's S-300 anti-aircraft missile system. A military option becomes much more difficult, and sabotage may be the only way to slow down a development of an Iranian nuclear weapon. Russia is warning the West about war games taking place in western Ukraine, says the U.S.-led exercises there may have explosive consequences. The drills involve 1,800 soldiers from 18 different nations. As author and analyst Doug Woodward points out in his new article posted to SkyWatch magazine, lots of soldiers in close proximity to a hot war zone can lead to perhaps a wider conflict in the region. It's a high-stakes game of chicken that's being played in Ukraine right now. Doug's forthcoming book, due out August 1st, titled "Is Russia Destined to Nuke the U.S.?" Pope Francis continues his work toward educating the world on climate change. Vatican science committees are hosting a gathering of 50 mayors and governors from around the world today and tomorrow. Participants from the U.S. include mayors Bill de Blasio of New York City, Edwin Lee of San Francisco, Ed Murray of Seattle, and Marty Walsh of Boston. California Governor Jerry Brown is also there. An interesting question posed by CNN today, an op-ed piece posted at their website. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, now this just goes to show how uneducated, how ignorant the mainstream media is when it comes to theology. But the author of the piece is actually the English language media attaché to the press office at the Vatican. The headline, cleverly worded, clickbait. And I confess we're sometimes guilty of striving to achieve that with our headlines as well. The article explains why Pope Francis talks so often about the devil and evil, personified evil. Think what you will about the Pope's theology, and as the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, I assume he buys into Roman Catholic theology, which is in many instances and in many ways unbiblical. But at least he recognizes that the enemy is real, literal, intelligent evil that seeks to do us harm. Unlike most American Christians, in fact, unlike most American Christians who call themselves born again, for them, Satan is a concept. And if you don't know your enemy, you're lost on the battlefield. Speaking of exorcism being sold by Hollywood as entertainment once again, you could call this the ultimate in reality TV, and the producers probably don't recognize it for what it is. One of the Discovery television networks, American Destination, which frankly I don't even know if it's on any cable systems at all, has announced it plans to air the first ever televised live exorcism this fall. Now, I don't expect much from this. The program, which is called Exorcism Live, will feature medium Chip Coffey and the cast of a program called Ghost Asylum, the Tennessee Wraith Chasers, as they attempt to exorcise the house in the St. Louis suburb of Belnor that inspired the novel The Exorcist, also the film from about 15 years ago called Possessed, using a medium and ghost hunters to exorcise a home in which a boy was possessed in 1949. Again, I don't expect much from this. This may be as entertaining as Geraldo Rivera opening the supposed vault of Al Capone. But they may open the door to something that they don't expect either. If you want a scholarly and scriptural look at spiritual warfare and the practice of demon possession and exorcism, I highly recommend the book I Am Not Afraid by Dr. Robert H. Bennett. He's a Lutheran pastor, educator, and his book, again, is a scholarly examination of demon possession and the practice of exorcism by the church, something you wouldn't expect from a mainline Christian denomination. Again, I Am Not Afraid, Dr. Robert Bennett, highly recommended for your reference bookshelf. The Bible has a lot more depth to it and is a lot more interesting than I ever imagined. I've said before, I'm a longtime fan of science fiction, and I didn't realize that some of the concepts that are portrayed as entertainment in programs like Sliders or Doctor Who are actually documented in the Bible. Tonight, SkyWatch TV airs part 2 of our 2-part interview with Gary Stearman, who takes the guest's chair again this week, discussing his book, Time Travelers of the Bible, How the Ancient Prophets Shattered the Time Barrier. That will air on the Christian Television Network tonight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's UTC -5. If you've got satellite television, that's DirecTV Channel 376, Dish Network Channel 267, and the Glory Star Satellite Channel 117. But the Christian Television Network also streams its programming live to the internet, so you can watch it at ctnonline.com. And if you miss it tonight, you'll be able to watch it tomorrow on the SkyWatch TV Roku channel. We've got now over 10,000 subscribers, and we thank you for adding our channel to your account. If you haven't done so yet, log on to your Roku account, search the Roku channel store for SkyWatch TV, and give us a click there. Give us a rating there as well. We certainly appreciate that. We also have complete instructions posted at SkyWatch TV. Just log on to skywatchtv.com/Roku. We mentioned SkyWatch Magazine earlier in the program. Again, the July issue is now available. It is an online magazine, so you can read it on your laptop or your mobile device, smartphone or tablet. Articles by Doug Woodward, as I mentioned. Also Doug Krieger. Doug Overmeyer of Sears C Ministries talking about parenting as spiritual warfare. Sharon Gilbert's new series, first part of a new series called Icon Engineering a New God. Who knows, may involve 6 nucleotide DNA. And the next installment of her supernatural thriller, Skinwalkers. Also an article I wrote examining the occult symbolism in the Johnny Depp film Transcendence, which is about the transhumanism movement. All of that at SkyWatch Magazine, online at skywatchtv.com. For your financial support during the month of July, we'll offer this very timely book to you for $10 or more. The book by Dr. Gary Smalley, I Promise How 5 Commitments Determine the Destiny of Your Marriage. We appreciate your support. It helps us to do what we do and to get the word out. And again, instructions on how to donate posted at skywatchtv.com. We thank you for your comments, questions, and suggestions. Send those to dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.